Well, welcome everyone to these Sci-Fi Guys. What are we? We're a podcast, and what do? We discuss science fiction movies right now. That's what we're doing. They could be movies, TV shows, video games, whatever. But we're kind of right now. We're just leaning on movies right now, just because it's a fairly large genre, and there's just tons of stuff out there. So, as you guys saw at the beginning when we turned it on, our show for today is Ready Player One. John picked this out for us this week, and John, you got anything you want to ask us about this, or how do we want
Oh
to do
yeah,
this?
absolutely. I'll start us off with, I guess, kind of the general question we tend to ask each other, and that is, what are some of the things you like most about the film? We'll start there.
Go ahead, Chad.
I like. I enjoyed the film. It was really the first time seeing it, but I wanted. I really all the great Easter eggs, reference to the '80s style movies. Like I especially loved when he was in a race and he was driving the DeLorean, and his friend H was driving Bigfoot. But then here comes the. But I really like all, especially when they go to try to find a second key into the into the Shining, Stephen King. Especially that's one of my all time favorite horror movies because I especially love just that premise of being locked up in a thing and there. But uh, especially how at the end it was actually two tests within the final thing. So I love it. It was all more as a team effort there, and enjoy the premise.
Well, I'll go ahead and say my part too. Is as you can tell by the gray hair on here and here that I grew up in the '80s, so I got a lot of those references. Um, Probably some ones that these other two guys haven't even a clue of. Uh, but I really enjoyed this movie. I thought the premise um, was quite well in a fact of you could be anybody you wanted to be in the Oasis. The Oasis just was kind of that equalizing factor. It didn't matter what you looked like, didn't matter what color hair you had, what how much you weighed, how much money you made. It was all the equalizer for everyone. Um, and I just enjoyed the movie itself. I thought it was very fun. Um, I really liked the interaction between the I'm going to call them the Fab Five, I guess you could say. Uh, there was just a good interaction, throughout the games, uh, the different games that they were in, and it was good. I really enjoyed it.
I'm definitely glad you guys enjoyed the film. I know when I first saw it, I saw it in theaters the first time when Movie Pass was still a thing, and I just truly
I had Movie
enjoyed.
Pass. That was great.
Oh
I
yeah,
just got an email today that said it's come back. That
it
Movie
is, but the
Pass has come
system is
back
weird.
again.
You get like
Yeah,
credits that
yeah.
don't roll over. It gets real weird. But
It,
anyway,
it did
that's when
get
I
weird
first
there
watched
for a
it.
while. Yeah.
So that's when I first watched this. Was when that was in about and in theaters and all. And so I really enjoyed getting to experience this film a couple of times. The way Movie Pass is set up that first go around, um, but I just really love, like you guys kind of alluded to, the whimsical nature and just so many Easter eggs and just this huge world building in one film. Just really enjoyed a lot of that. Now, last week we did watch Tron, and I'm wondering if you guys kind of picked up on some of the things that I did, because kind of what I was alluding to when I said, what themes did you notice similar to Tron is just like you kind of have this corporation, that's trying to control a piece of technology, and that's kind of the piece I was making connections with. And I was wondering maybe if you guys saw the same connection or saw some different ones. What do you think on that end, Dave? We'll start with you.
Well, yeah. The premise of this whole movie is video games. I mean, Tron was all about a video game. It was a little different in Tron because the MCP actually digitized Flynn and basically brought him into the game. In this movie, everyone has a choice and everyone wants to be in the game in the Oasis. Um, you know, it, one of the I think it probably was a throwaway line, um, but there was a line in the movie itself that said basically people stopped trying to make the world better and just spent all their time in the game. Um, and of course, with corporations, very much like Incom in Tron, wanting to be the most powerful computer business that was out there, the IOI wanted to do the exact same thing. But I think the major difference between the two is, Tron it was well, actually not even a difference. I guess you could say it's the same. There was life or death circumstances for both. If Flynn didn't get to the MCP and get out of there, when he did, he was going to be derez, and lost in the game. And of course, in this game, uh, in the Oasis, they took it outside the game and then brought it into the real world with the IOI trying to get him specifically and Artemis.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you definitely allude to a lot of that. And that's a lot of what I noticed too. Chad, what else did you pick up on?
Yeah, saw most of the hour doing that, but I think you look at Artemis, she was driving a bike. It almost looks like a little light speeder, if you want to say it. But the art for controlling companies, I saw that, and that until you, so I enjoy the fact of that you had a good and you had the good of the versus the bad in this movie too.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that's just prevalent in talking about a lot of technology in general, because we had a pretty good conversation about how that would roll last week. And I mean, it's just interesting to think about how much of sci-fi could come true and maybe would come true. So speaking on that, Chad, what challenges do you think modern VR has currently to become similar to what we see in the film? Maybe not exactly like it, but what challenges do you think we have to overcome in the real world for our virtual reality to look kind of like it did in Ready Player One?
Uh, that's a tough question because I don't do much virtual reality. But what I saw and what's out there is get I messed around with it just enough. I've, but I don't think it's there yet. To have a treadmill up under you to go either way, where you run either you can run forward, side to side, or whatever you want to do. But and then also you go in there and and actually feel if you get punched. He was feeling it. So we don't have neurosensors to do that to computers. Hey, he just got punched in the arm. Make it feel right there. So it's they work. It's there, but not as we think.
And let me just jump in here. I agree with exactly what Chad was just saying. I also think that our brains can only take so much information all at once, and I think it would be information overload. Because when you're watching TV or even virtual reality, you're only seeing what's here, and yet in this other realm it's you're feeling it, you're seeing it, you're doing it, um, and everything else. Plus, and I hate to say this, but most of us are overweight. Most of us want to play our games with our hands, whether it be on a phone, or iPad, or a controller, what have you. And we're not going to be running around. I know it's an omnidirectional treadmill, but you know, especially when you get older, the heavy set lady that was on there doing it. I was just, I know she was mostly just punching in the air and stuff, but I just can't see her running on a treadmill and then jumping and doing all the things that they were doing in the game. I just had a hard time thinking that we would be able to do that.
I mean, yeah, and I definitely agree with a lot of those points. Um, And especially, I think one of the bigger challenges we had to face, because a lot of the technology, like you said, Chad, is actually starting to come along. I've seen treadmills developed. I've actually seen gloves that have built-in resistance with actuators that kind of add real feeling to hands. I think the biggest challenge I think we have with modern VR to kind of become more similar is just availability. I mean, it's hard to mass produce those walking treadmills and those gloves and the suits. Like, it's just hard to mass produce that on a level that people can actually buy into. I think it would definitely start, which is in a way similar to the film. I think it would start with those that could afford it first, and then would kind of trickle down or through in reward games and that sort of idea. But I
Well,
definitely
also
think
just
it's a
think about the
possibility.
infrastructure. I was also thinking what you were just mentioning. Also, the infrastructure of the servers or what have you to be able to run the program. I mean, the processing power alone, would. Uh, I just don't think we're there yet. I mean, being able to use. I have no idea how many computers that would take. And I just can't. I can't fathom it.
I mean, quantum computing's on the up and up, but it again, availability. I mean, that's brand new, and even then, it's hard to mass produce. So I think you're right. I think we're very limited by current technology
Well,
to make it to that
y'all,
point if we ever can.
but the thing is, if you look at it, you're talking about computers now. Trying to build your own computer, the parts now it's become readily available, but it's still hard to get. The price is still not down where it used to be. So there are quad core computers that can do all this, but it's not for an average person. So you're more that has a room to built for this. You see more available to it. But as the average Joe's like us, we're not going to see it, not in our lifetime.
And I think that really hits nail on the head there. Um, I just wonder what you guys' thoughts were on it, because I mean, we've come a long way in VR. I know we're miles ahead of where we used to be even 10 years ago, especially with cameras and stuff on headsets that are starting to track movement even within a room without extra sensors. But I think you guys are right. I think we definitely still a huge way to go. As with most sci-fi films, they kind of aim real far, and then life starts to imitate art in some ways. Now, with all that said, are there any portions of the film that you guys would change? Kind of swapping gears there. Is there anything you didn't particularly like about the film's story? Maybe a particular element of the story? Any of that? What would you guys change about it?
Well, I'll jump in here then. uh, the Planet Doom that they had at the end, that when they had the big fight with the shield going around it and all that. I mean, it's cool. I agree with that. I mean, it's a good thing to have, but I think it could have been better if they. Granted, before I get here, this was done by, I don't even know what company actually made the movie. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was not Disney affiliated. So, and there was several things that, and I'll get into the book. I've actually got some information about the book. If you actually go and read some of the stuff on the book, they weren't able to put them in the movie because of copyright laws or what have you. However, if that was not the case, I think it would have been cool to have Castle Grayskull from He-Man as the thing that they had to get into, or even the castle at Disney World. That they're all trying to, that's what they've got to get into. And also that same battle, uh, where was the aircraft? Where was the spacecraft? None of it was in the. There was nothing in the air. Everything was on the ground. It was just a bunch of people running, and then you had Mecha Godzilla get up there, and I thought that was cool and that was great. And I would have liked to have seen some more giant robots. Have the Shogun Warriors show up, or um, just have a real Godzilla, not the Mecha Godzilla, but have real somebody, running Godzilla and have a Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla like the movies have, things like that. Why, I really miss the aircraft. You have X-wings flying around. You have the Millennium Falcon. He said it in the movie, but you never saw it. Have people being able to fly TIE fighters or F-22s or F-16s or whatever, bombers, something to uh, make it seem on that much higher or a grander of a scale. That's just what I would change. Chad, how about you?
I kind of agree with you. But the thing is, with Doom, especially when you look on the bad side, you had the IRA head person, and you had his little henchman, and had a skull. It kind of reminded me of D&D, World of Warcraft, a little type of guy that, hey, I'm going to put the spell out there and protect this. And it was more on the horde side. But I, I really, really love how it was more. But I would have also changed. Hey, they had more stuff in the air. 'Cause it could have stuff could have happened. It's sci-fi,
Yeah,
but
have some flying dragons flying around.
or
That
even
would have been cool. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like, but you saw it reference a dark crystal. Like, hey, it'd be nice to have some of the people on them there just going in there. But the thing is, yeah, it referenced the Millennium Falcon and say, hey, be nice would have sent some lightsabers and some going in there, but you didn't because yeah, copyright. But I would have the premise. I would have focused more on they did, but they had more to end the battle to make it more significant than what it was. Even you had Iron Giant come in there. You saw the Gundam warrior, but other than that, what other stuff you wanted to see could have been there, especially what was out in the 80s. I mean that hands down put some more.
And honestly, it's funny that you mentioned the flying stuff because my brain didn't even process that with just the sheer amount of things that are on screen. But you're absolutely right. Looking back now, after you said that, I'm like, it would have been nice to see some dogfighting going on in there too, especially with the creative worlds they had even available without Disney entities. Um, I know one of the things I would have changed. I would have gone back and changed that dancing scene a little bit way back towards the beginning of the film. I would have called that one a day. I probably would have changed that a lot because
I don't
it just
know.
got
No, I love
wacky.
the disco. No,
No, the disco
that
and stuff
disco
is
theme
fine.
was great.
The stuff with the X1 suit or the XI suit was a little funky to me during that
Oh
scene,
yeah,
but
that was well. It's funny you mentioned that because um, in the book, it after they break up, um, Wade actually purchases a sex doll
mm,
to, and then realizes, oh, this is not right. I don't like this, But
oh yeah, yeah.
it's funny that But yeah, there was for they could have done that a little bit classier. I
I don't
mean, I
know. It
thought it
just
was
didn't
really
add
great.
anything to the film to me either.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree. It did. It just
It
kind
was
of.
kind of there.
Yeah, I mean,
One of those
and when I
nitpicky
mentioned,
things to me.
well, that's what we're doing. Really, we're just nitpicking stuff. I mean, when I've actually found a website that says 22 reasons the book was different than the movie. I am not going to give you all 22 reasons. Uh, Basically, though, um, different location. The future was quite a bit different. I know I said it was a throwaway
Hmm.
line, but in the book, everything was a lot more. Um, they actually had classes. I mean, it was a rich man's game. Uh, the A lot of times, if people were students, they could get in on the lowest planet, the one planet, and that's all they could do until they built up, and then they went to the next planet, and then the next, and such and such. Uh, Wade and all the other characters, all of them were overweight. They dealt with it in the book, um, and then the quests were quite a bit different. One of the main ones I wanted to let me find it here at the end. Um, the giant robots. Uh, Instead of using the Iron Giant, he uses the Parseval, um, which is from the 1970s Japanese version of Spider-Man. They used the Gundam mobile gun suit. They actually used one of the Shogun warriors, Brave Raiden, and then Matsinger Z, which is another Shogun warrior. Also, the Sixers had the five robot lions from Voltron. I mean, the book actually gets a lot more because there's no copyright on that. They're able to do a lot more and have a lot more other stuff. So anyway, you have any more to ask us about or?
I mean, really, the last one I was going to ask, what you guys have alluded to in different ways, is did you have any just favorite Easter eggs? I mean, there's plenty to choose from. What were some of your favorite Easter eggs?
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in. Uh, there, there was so many. I mean, from there was one scene, unless you paused it, and actually that's how I went back and because I had it on my computer, I was just like pause, pause, pause. Okay, who was on this one? Who was on this one? Who was on this screen? I mean, there was one of them where it had the Joker with Batgirl,
Yeah.
Batman, and and Freddy Krueger next to them. You know, uh, obviously the cars, because I'm a big car guy. You know, seeing the original Batmobile, Mad Max's Interceptor. We already talked about Bigfoot and the Back to the Future car, but then the A-Team van. I saw Christine. Um, where else? Uh, RoboCop. I saw Iron Man. Minecraft. I mean, Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. But one of my favorites is probably from a movie you guys didn't even know when I think it was She when he threw that it looked like a Chinese star at the end when he was trying to I forget exactly. I can't describe the scene. My brain's gone blank right now. But anyway, when he was throwing it looked like a Chinese star. Well, actually, that was Kroll. Krull was from
Yeah.
a movie Kroll. That was the actual blade that they use where he holds it and then he pushes it, then the blades come out of it and he's able to control it as it's flying. That was a early
Oh,
80s movie
yeah,
from
I think
way
I
back
must.
when. But yeah, those are just some. I mean, of course, you got to love He-Man and Skeletor and all
Yeah.
those guys. And of course, I
What
am a
about you,
big Monty
Chad?
Python fan, and seeing the holy hand grenade, that was the icing on top. You will count to three.
Golden.
Yes. No, no more. No four. It's outright. I do have a question for you
Mm.
guys, though. I know it's we didn't talk about this at all, but if you were in this game, what would your avatar be? You could go ahead from anything, any
Mm.
genre, anything. I'll tell you while y'all are thinking about it. Mine would be the T-800 Terminator. Okay, I'd be walking around as Arnold Schwarzenegger all the time, and then whenever I got mad at something, I'd just rip the skin off, and then it would just be the whole metal, the skeleton with the red eyes and all that. I mean, that'd be sick. What about you
Yeah.
guys? Oh, come on, you had to have a favorite cartoon growing up, or
Oh, the problem is
fictional
I'm working through
character.
so many. I'm just trying to
Yeah, I know.
think of my favorite big guy.
What a,
I
all right, all right.
want to be
Here's this.
something terrifying.
We see Chad. I really thought you'd be walking around as Darth Vader. I really
Oh, see,
did.
yeah, I was thinking Darth Vader, or even just his without the suit, make it the Anakin walking around, but more like the because I know you go into it. Darth Vader actually upgraded his suit, but then put it on. So actually walk around in his upgraded suit where he's no mask at all. Walk around just pure power. But other than that,
That's
if
great.
if it's not Vader, it'll be more the T-2000, the
The liquid
where
one.
liquid one.
Yeah, yeah. How about
All
you,
right,
John?
genuinely, I think I'm between two. I would either probably take Dumbledore or Gandalf as like a wise wizard in this world, just with the
Oh
long
yeah, you're
beard and
Harry
casting
Potter. I
spells and doing
forgot
all
you're a
that
Harry
crazy
Potter
stuff.
fan.
I mean, I would take Gandalf too. You can't take a "You shall not pass" and
Yeah, Lord of the
surviving the
Rings.
death
You're right.
wall. But either one of those great and powerful wizards, or I would definitely take um, really any of Tony Stark's iterations and mocked versions of Iron Man. Man, give me
Except
the
for number
power to
3.
fly and shoot lasers, and I'm so down. Or even just
Yeah.
the Hulkbuster. I would love the Hulkbuster.
Hulkbuster, but you see, but I'm more for War Machine. I love especially the big machine gun on his back of his
Oh yeah, it's great.
that comes forward, and it looks clean. It doesn't have all that you know
The
racing
fluff.
red. I I like the War Machine a little better. That's me
I just
personally.
love the thought of flying in an iron suit through the air.
That would be pretty cool. And then you have Jarvis talking to you, and you could have Jarvis as your wife's voice.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
So,
But
well, is that everything? I think we've hit everything that we wanted to talk about, guys. I do want to say that this has one of the most fantastic soundtracks. I mean, all the music was great. I mean, but to start off the movie with Van Halen "Jump," I mean, it's just in your face. It's like, okay, this is going to be a good movie. And what did y'all think about the drone delivery of the pizza?
hey,
I
we're not
mean,
too far off from
we're
it.
getting there. That is probably going to be the next phase because Amazon's already starting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, pizza delivery, that's got to be
Just don't
coming up
drop it on
soon.
its cheese side down. I'm good
Yeah,
as long as it's
okay.
not cheese side down. You want to drop pizza from the sky? By all means, give me a parachute and don't drop it cheese side down. I'm all right.
Just call you, and that way you say, "Hey, here's your pizza," and you look up.
Yeah, and then I'll
Splat
just
on your
catch
face.
it.
Well, this is the time of the show where I always want to tell everybody, hey, email us. We have gotten 0 emails. So we would love to hear from you guys. Tell us, hey, what do you like about the show? What do you not like about the show? Is it our hair? Is it the colors? What is it? Is it the content? You can email us, TheseSciFiGuys at gmail.com. You can send us on Twitter. You can send us a direct message or just post on it at TheseSciFiGuys at Twitter. And of course, you're watching this, you're already on the YouTube channel, and that's where we're at, is These Sci-Fi Guys. Okay, so our next show. All right, let me pull this up here. We had Ready Player One. These guys don't know what it is. I went ahead. Usually Chad would be picking this one, so Chad's going to pick the next one. But there was a reference in Ready Player One for this movie. All right, it is an 80s movie, so I just want to warn you. It's probably well. Let me start by saying, yeah, you have a movie with the lead character from RoboCop. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. You have one of Jeff Goldblum's first movies ever, and he wears a cowboy suit all the time. All right. So the next movie is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
I was.
Okay. Yeah. It is a total cheesy B movie, but it is got a cult classic. It is got so many people that follow it. It's great. So that is going to
It's
be
the
our
dance
next
scene.
movie. What's that, Chad?
The dance scene. Bonsai.
Oh, the dancing. Well, because that was his outfit. It's what he's
Yeah.
wearing, But yeah, that's going to be our next one. So anyway, guys, we appreciate you listening and talk to you later.